Hi, everyone. Anne O'Connell with OC Publishing here, and welcome to the author journey. We are going to shake things up a little bit today, and we're going to talk about ebook accessibility. And joining me today, I have a couple of experts. Well, one real good, extensive expert, and one new expert on a process that is underway. We have been working with APMA, Atlantic Publishers Marketing Association, and eBound Canada, who, in partnership with Benetech, has been creating a program for ebook accessibility. It's Global Certified Accessible Certification, the first ever third-party international program to certify the accessibility of ebooks, particularly critical in today's educational environment. I've had with me today two guests, Elizabeth Crawler, who's the operations manager at eBound Canada, and David Edelstein, who is our lead designer at OC Publishing, who has been the hands-on taking us through this very comprehensive process. I'm really excited to say that we have our first official GCA certified ebook. It's Nurse, a memoir by Francine Cosman. So I'll give you a little bit more on that later. But first, I'm going to bring Elizabeth up to join me to talk about this amazing program. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Anne.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, I'm giddy about participating in this program.
Yes, well, thank you for inviting me to be here. We're excited to talk more about accessibility.
Well, I think it's just a hot topic, and I think it's important. And as I said, this is an international program. So talk a little bit about how it came about.
Yeah, so Benetech has been operating in the US. They created these international standards for accessibility. And the big thing with them is they wanted to create a born accessible workflow so that ebooks would always have accessibility features from the very beginning. A lot of publishers find they have to go back into an ebook and add accessible features after, which we all know is time consuming. Nobody has time for that. Nobody has a budget. So we're building an accessible workflow so that every time you produce a new EPUB, the accessible features would already be there. So so eBound decided to team up with Benetech and offer this service in Canada, the certification. So we teamed up because the federal government initiative that came out in 2019 with accessible funding, trying to encourage more accessible content in the marketplace. So we were trying to figure out how can we help publishers get there. You know, this is great, but there's no standards, there's no guidance on how we can get there. So that's how we came up with this partnership. So yes, we're introducing it in Canada. It's been funded by the federal government, which is great. So all the independent Canadian publishers can participate.
That's fantastic. And just to share, eBound, you're a not-for-profit, and you're based in Toronto, and your mission is advancing the digital engagement of Canadian publishers. And I'm so pleased to be able to be a part of it, OC Publishing, to participate as a member of the Atlantic Publishers Marketing Association. So when the opportunity presented itself, I jumped on without really knowing what was involved, and we'll talk to David in a few minutes about what I got us into. So 2019 was sort of the kernel of the idea. So fast forward, what has happened thus far?
Yeah, so we've been working with publishers. So it's been about 3 years. So we started in 2021, and we have 60 publishers that are participating. So either they have been certified or they are in the process of certification. So that's a great number. So we're very excited about that. And about the accessible content that will be joining the Canadian marketplace now as a result of this. So as part of the process, so each publisher has to put in 2 to 3 books for review. They're assigned a specific certifier. The certifier has gone through training. So it's a mix between automated checks and manual hands-on checks. So they are going into the EPUBs and checking for specific coding to make sure that all of the EPUB would be accessible, that had the text-to-screen reader. And there's also annual spot check once you receive the certification. So we stay on top of it to make sure that the standards are constantly being met in the future.
And the reports are extensive, and the the feedback is so extremely valuable. And I hear you're the spreadsheet queen. I guess you have to be with this project.
Yeah, I do enjoy my way around the spreadsheet.
You know what? I've just kind of scratched the surface. I like a good spreadsheet as well, but and and in your profile it says you also are a Starbucks fan. So I guess a little caffeine helps keep you motivated as well. So
Exactly.
you mentioned a couple of the features, but when you talk about a full range of accessibility features, what are those features?
Yeah, so some very basic features you can start with. So alt text, and that is going all the way to the beginning, getting authors involved in the creation of alt text. We have alt text for the cover image. We have alt text for logos. Those should all be in there. We also have page numbers. So if there's a print copy of the book and someone is using the digital version, they should also be able to go to the same page as anyone using a print version. So that just keeps everybody, especially in a classroom, everybody has access to the same material. We have reading order. So we want to make sure that a reader can move from chapter 1 to chapter 2 to chapter 3 efficiently, and they're not jumping all over, or they're having to go back to the table of contents and then go back to table 2. So just making the reader's life easier. There's also table of contents, making sure everything is included, which seems obvious, but I can't tell you the number of times I've found things that are not in the table of contents. So they're just common things that we often overlook. And also the formatting of the text to make sure there's no special features that need like a visual representation. So anyone reading it with a screen reader or reading it in the print gets the same message and gets the same story. And that's what we want. We want everyone to have the same experience.
Excellent. And the main purchaser or consumer of these will be libraries. Is that correct?
No, you can sell them. So they're all digital. So you can sell them anywhere that digital books are sold. The one thing is that it doesn't look like there's added features. So someone reading it without a screen reader wouldn't know there's added features. It doesn't interrupt other reading experience. So it can be available anywhere.
Okay. So at this point, let's bring David up to join us, and he can share with us what his experience was actually doing the hands-on. Hi, David.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, pleasure. You're still speaking to me. I'm glad to hear that. As I said, we both kind of I jumped in with both feet and then brought David along with me as well. And Elizabeth, you mentioned that we're assigned an assessor, and we've been working with a gal named Ashley, who's been incredible. So thank you if you're the one that makes the assignments. She's been really awesome to work with. So just off the cuff, like, what has the experience been like, David, participating in this?
It's been really interesting. I mean, I do find that working on working on ebooks can be both exciting. It can also be frustrating at times. It's a technical process. Unlike designing print books, I would say is more artistic, whereas working with ebooks is more technical because it's code, it's HTML and CSS code, much like working on a website. So any web designers would know it. When you're trying to get your website or your ebook to work properly on all different devices or different apps, and it doesn't look the way you want, it can get frustrating. But it's also a great learning experience. And working on accessible ebooks just really added to that. And for me, it provided like a whole new dimension to what ebooks can be that I hadn't really thought about. I was I've said to Anne that I read on ebooks all the time. I brought my Kobo e-reader, which, it's very convenient. You can carry lots and lots of books around with you. It's got a light on it, so at night I can read with the light. You flip through, and for me, it's like I'm reading a book. The screen is very easy on your eyes. That's great. It's not the only way to read ebooks, but that's one way. But it hadn't really occurred to me that ebooks could be, because it's electronic, it can be a tool for people who aren't able to read print books for whatever reason. Either they can't see very well, they can't read well, and being able to have the book read to you by a machine, it's a huge advantage that you just can't get on a print book. So it really opened my eyes to that, and I was excited to see the ways that can happen. And like Elizabeth said, when for me, if I read the same ebook, it doesn't look any different to me. For the most part, it's all on the back end. All the accessibility features are on the back end, and they're going to be, so it's basically one ebook for everybody.
Yeah. It was incredible. So when Ashley sent the first report, like she kind of gave us a warning, and she said, please don't panic when you see this.
Yeah.
And she said, but we scored, she said, right in the realm of where most first EPUBs that are run through the test score. So David has been doing my ebook conversions for OC Publishing for several years now. We were, I was thinking, it'll be easy, right? And then when we got right into the thick of it, we realized it wasn't easy, but still very, very much worth the effort. So talk about when that first, so I'm eager to sort of get the message out of what's the difference between, just pumping out an EPUB from Vellum or Calibre versus what this process entails.
Okay, well, in my case, if I am doing any kind of EPUB, ebook conversion, there's no just pumping it out. Like it always takes some work to make it look, the way you want to. It's being converted from the print layout so that all the text is the same, so that all the various styles and the formatting of the book is the same, but there's always a lot you have to do afterwards to make sure that just to make sure that things are going to work well on all different devices and apps. And I have my own methods that I've kind of built up over time, and it's always changing a little bit when I learn something new. Like, oh, here's a better way to do that. But there is definitely a process to it. And in the case of accessible ebooks, it requires a little bit of a different process. I had to go back to the print layout and sort of start again. And one of the, as Elizabeth mentioned, one of the big features is including page numbers, right? So that you're going to have markers in the ebook, even though ebooks don't have page numbers, because you can change the size of the text and you can change the font and you can do all these things. So it's very fluid. But you put these markers in there that show where it corresponds to the print edition, the pages in the print edition, so that everybody can be on the same page, literally, when they're reading in a group or for any reason. Other features, she mentioned alt text, right? So any image that's in the book, whether it's just an image for the cover or if you have photos, other illustrations, every illustration's got to have some kind of a description behind it so that people who can't see the illustration can have it described to them. And those are, some of the key features. And there are other ones. There are other things going on behind the scenes. The structure, just the way the text is structured, the way it's tagged. If you have a paragraph of text, a regular paragraph of text, normally in an ebook, it would have what we call a P tag, right? P for paragraph. If I use a P tag for the chapter title, it doesn't matter that much to somebody who can see. It's gonna, as long as it's styled correctly, it's gonna look the same. But in an accessible EPUB, it's got to have a header tag instead of a paragraph tag. It's got to have an H1 tag to to let the machine know this is a header for the chapter, and so it can read it properly, and people can navigate through the ebook properly, and things like that. So there's a lot of little differences that affect the way that you work on it. Yeah.
Oh, well, and we so appreciate you, David, and just, your background certainly lent itself to this. And I knew the kind of work that went into the EPUBs you produced for us, and we really appreciate that. So, I had confidence that, it was just going to be just another layer, which, already added on to the stellar work that you do. Elizabeth, what kind of devices would somebody be using to access these EPUBs if they weren't, reading them?
Yeah, so it can vary. So it depends usually on the person's needs. If there's somebody with dyslexia, they might want to change the background color, but they can still use the Kobo or the Kindle. Others would use a screen reader app. So it's a separate application that they can use on their current device, and it just reads it over for them. You don't need special devices for it. It's one that we all have access to. So Kobo, Kindle, iPad, phones, anything that you can access ebook now.
Okay, that's fantastic. And so as far as so this going into 2024, how many more publishers will be joining in?
We're still figuring that part out. But we do have a waiting list right now. So we're looking at least 10, hopefully 20. We'll see. Yeah, so it's still a growing list. We still have many publishers reaching out, which is great. We still want to promote accessibility within Canada. So that's good news.
And if there are publishers out there who are interested in participating, and would they, again, go to eBoundCanada.org, or their particular, are there other organizations like APMA in other parts of Canada that are helping facilitate the process?
Yes, so we work with all of the provincial associations, so you can always reach out to your provincial association, or if you go on our website, my email address is on there, and you can email me and let me know.
Let's show that again. And so how, as the process has evolved, what level of I guess uptake has there been? Like, have 100% of the titles that have been submitted so far gotten through the process?
Yeah, so every title gets through. It's just a matter of whether some titles take more time, have to go through more rounds. Sometimes we'll ask for another EPUB, so it might be 4 EPUB. So it's all varied, but every title does get through.
Okay, well, that was very reassuring, because but it actually only took us 2 rounds, I think, David.
Yeah, I was going to add that it's been thanks to eBound, thanks to the folks that have helped us from eBound, and also to other people who are working in that field, who have created tutorials on how to get accessibility features into the ebook. Like, it helped me tremendously, and like you mentioned, Ashley at eBound, she, first of all, the initial report we got on the ebook that we already had, that alone, showed me a lot of things. Okay, this is how it should look. This is how we'll change this to this, and then by looking at that, taking a little time to look at that, it made a lot of sense. I used an online tutorial that probably a lot of people are going to run into if they're working on accessibility features. Laura Brady's tutorial on LinkedIn Learning, which was just fantastic. Just went through a lot of the important steps and gave a lot of great tips. Doesn't cover like everything, because it is, it would just be too much, but it really it really laid out a lot of the basics. And so just the fact that there's all these people who are working on this, and it's really important to all of you, and and then you're making it easier for us to then go ahead and create the books. It's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I also just wanted to add, we also have an accessible publishing learning network I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's a website, and it's to help anybody in publishing in Canada with accessible publishing. You can ask your questions, you can see those tutorials. So it's apln.ca, and it has everything there.
APLM.ca?
APLN, Learning Network.
Oh, N, okay.
Yeah.
N. Hang on, let me fix that.
So it has everything that you were just describing as tutorials and hands-on resources, and it was built for Canadian publishers.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. And what does APLN stand for again?
Accessible Publishing Learning Network.
Oh, excellent. Okay, boy, I'll be writing that one down.
It makes things so much easier for designers and others. Like,
Yeah.
you know, in the course of working on ebooks or learning how to create ebooks in the first place, I didn't find anything like that, you know, like a structured tutorial for here's how you can go about it. Everything I've learned about ebooks outside of this has been just kind of haphazard, looking up how do I do this and finding little bits of information here and there. But this has been really well structured, you know, and organized, and yeah, just made it a lot easier.
That's fabulous. And let's talk a little bit more about eBound. Elizabeth, how long have you been there?
I joined in 2020, so it's been 3 years.
Excellent. And eBound, that's the mission, is to support indie publishers, to make sure that digital products are accessible. What other services do you have? I'm going to bring up your site here, and you can talk a little bit about what eBound is all about.
Yeah, so we help Canadian independent publishers engage in the digital marketplace. So that can be distribution, that can be conversion, getting EPUB files created. So we use CoreSource as a tool to distribute to all digital vendors. We help you set it up, we find the vendors, we get good rates from the vendors on it. We also help with creating the EPUB files, audiobook files. We also, so conversion services are right there. We also have research and education. So the digital asset management is our CoreSource tool. So publishers would have all of their files in one place, and they can distribute them all in one place.
Okay. And the research?
Yep. So we're constantly doing landscape reviews about what's going on in the publishing marketplace. We put together a report and we share it with all the publishers. So we also offer PD sessions as well. And then we also have Benetech.
Benetech. We should go back. Yeah, Benetech.
So that's where you can find more information as well.
Yeah. And the Book Connect?
Yeah, so that's another partner that we work with. So it's another tool that can create metadata and Onyx feeds as well. Wow. So we help out in the digital space in many different ways.
There's a lot there. And how long has eBound been around?
I believe it started in 2011.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And so any publisher can work with you?
Yeah. So we do have a subscription fee. And we are, if you're a member of the Association of Canadian Publishers, so you get access to the same content and the materials as well. But yeah, we're open for any Canadian publishers that just need help with the digital side.
This is absolutely incredible. David, is there anything else you want to share about your experience?
Actually, I just had a question for Elizabeth. Yeah. I was wondering, is there a way for people who are, if you're buying an ebook or borrowing one from the library, is there a way to see whether it's been certified as accessible or not? Is there some sort of...
Yeah, so the certification will be in the metadata. We provide this once you have all 3 books certified. There's also a logo that you get with it that you can put on the cover. It's kind of a stamp. And we're working with vendors to expose the accessible metadata, so it will stay Benetech certified when users are looking for it as well. So yeah, it will be available.
so that people could
Okay,
actually
cool.
like search for
Yeah.
certified accessible ebooks and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
I'll have to get that logo to add to our cover.
Let's put that on the cover,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a good question as well, because I'm in the process of making sure all the back end has been updated. The new EPUB has been uploaded to my distribution platform, and that my web form is updated, and BiblioShare has been refreshed and all of that. So there was really nowhere in the setup that you could add accessible ebook or anything like that, but I put it in the description of the book itself. So I don't know if there's another place, or if that's a question for BookNet, or
Yeah, so
I
we
don't know.
will provide you with the exact metadata that you can put in your ebook, and then
Okay.
you can also flag it in your metadata provider as well. But we just make sure that all of your titles go through before we share that metadata. So it is coming.
Okay. Okay.
After we go all
Yay.
three.
Yay. We don't want to put the cart before the horse, but we want the cart full and ready to go. So are there any last words of advice, Elizabeth, for publishers who are looking to enhance their ebook accessibility?
Yeah, I guess the number one thing that we always hear is that it's so intimidating when you think about starting this journey. Where to start? How do you even begin? But just know that there are others in this space. You can talk to each other. Publishers can share tips. And once you get the accessible features built in, it'll be so much smoother and so much easier going forward. So it's just like a one-time kind of learning curve. And then once you're over that, it'll be way better and way more understanding.
Excellent. Well, again, I really appreciate being included in the process, and David and I are excited to see the next one come to be. And the first one is Nurse. It's a memoir, and it should be a lot of fun, and we're just totally excited about being a part of this, Elizabeth. Really appreciate your support, eBound and all of the other players in the mix. So thank you both for joining me today. I think we covered a lot of ground in a short period of time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Pleasure. Maybe you'll come back at the end of next year, and we'll do an update, or maybe halfway through.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That'd be great. Excellent. Thank you both so much. And thank you all for joining us on the author journey today. I'm Anne O'Connell, and I appreciate you supporting indie authors and indie publishers and joining us every week on the author journey. So for now, stay healthy, stay safe, and happy reading.